Hi, it's Chris Moore with Senior Remodeling Experts. Welcome to Aging in Place is a Team Sport. It's a video series where we talk to different providers. We explore how families, professionals, and communities can come together to help older adults live safely, comfortably, and independently at home. I'm here to guide you, connect you with the right resources, and help make the rest of your life the best of your life. Welcome back to Aging in Place is a Team Sport. I'm Chris Moore, and I am delighted to have with me today Robert Linkul with Training the Older Adult. And one of the key tenets of living well and living a long, fulfilling, purposeful life is movement and staying active. So many people, as they get older, they think their best days are behind them and they sit down, and pretty soon everything starts to decline. So, Robert, tell us more about your program and what you do to help keep people moving and active and alive.
You bet. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here with you and to get to share with you. And thank you for the invite. My wife Keegan and I run trainingtheolderadult.com, which is a split kind of business focus. We have half of our focus goes towards training our clients, who are almost all of them over the age of 55, or if they have some kind of major physical limitation, hip replacement, any joint replacement, cancer, ACL repairs, like you name it. We work with pretty much everybody. And then the other half of the business is geared towards training the coaches to work with those clients. And for a long time, I've kind of specialized in this since 2004, which I started in 1999. So I'm in my 27th year, right around there doing this. Started real young, 19 years old, absolutely loved coaching and working with people. So over the time, having a little bit more of an area of expertise working with older pops, I would get a lot of messages on Facebook from other coaches saying, why are you doing it that way? And can you teach me how to do it? And what about programming? And what if they have a bad back? And so we started doing some webinars and teaching people. We were using this thing called Zoom, and nobody knew about it back then. And we slowly, this was like 2011 and 12, and we just kind of kept building up till about 2016. We launched our first certification, and we taught about the business of personal training, how to deal with ailments and limitations, and how to do really good assessments. And then the next year we added a little more, and we've just built that over the last decade into the business it is now, where we certify coaches that want to work with older populations and provide them continued education every month throughout an entire year, and teach them everything they need to know to help their older population clients age well. And what we focus on for the clients now is 5 primary movement patterns, but 3 that really make the biggest difference. Hinging, so picking up anything off of the ground would be a good hinge. Really, anytime you break at the hip would be considered kind of a hinge. So a sit to stand to a chair or toilet, pulling a weight off the ground or a package that's been delivered to you, and then a carry. So you transfer that weight to wherever you're going, and some kind of rowing or pulling action. And so we mimic movement patterns of real life. If clients are capable of going overhead, we'll progress to that. And then if they are capable of splitting their feet, like a lunge or a step up, we'll go to that. So we have hinges, rows, carries. Those are the big 3. And then overhead actions and something where they're splitting their feet. And eventually we'll build into helping them get up and down off the ground and improving their walking gait, how far their length of each step is, and how quick that is. That's huge in fall prevention. And we just want them to get really strong. So if they are to fall and they hit the ground, their bones and their muscles are strong enough not to break. Maybe they have a bad ego moment where everybody points and says, oh, that person fell, but they don't have these catastrophic breaks that happen to the deconditioned and the frail. And unfortunately, that's about 80% of our population over 50. They fall into that frail category, which is a massive amount of folks. And our whole purpose of our business is to try to help combat that in educating the coaches, but as well as the consumers, the clients themselves, and everything they can do on a day-to-day basis to not become part of those statistics.
Right. So there's an assumption, I think, that's pretty common, that we lose muscle, sarcopenia, as we get older after a certain age. And I read different beliefs about what age that is, but essentially the belief that when we reach a certain age, we're going to start losing muscle, and that's just the way we're built. What say you to that?
That's accurate. Right around age 35, most research suggests females, we're going to hit our max potential on how dense our bones can get and how much muscle mass we can carry. And along with that muscle mass, you have two splits of kind of slower, more endured muscle mass, type 1 fibers. And on the other side, you have type 2 fibers that are a little more explosive and dynamic. If we continue to train those, the decline from age 35 will be very gradual. And there's a line at the bottom of this graph that's called the disability threshold. The disability threshold means I need a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, or someone else to help take care of me. So I'm now reliant on I'm no longer completely independent. I'm reliant on something else. Well, if you train and you regularly condition your heart, your bones, your musculature, ideally you'll never hit that. Goal is to have you be 98. We call it going out with the boots on, like you're just good, you're gone. And ideally there's no suffering. There's no, not to get too morbid, but there's no suffering. Like it's just lights out and you've lived a great life. Or the really deconditioned and the sick, they will have an intervention and then be bedridden or something in months and months or years. My grandmother lived 10 years, 80 to 90 of her 90 to 99, the last 10 years of her life in a chair. Like could not do anything other than sit in a chair. And you're alive, but are you living, right? Is kind of the debate there. I would rather people have a better quality of life. And so to combat that, a great analogy is you've got a 5-barrel drum and your whole life you're adding water in with all these great things up to 35 and it's full. And then at 35, you poke a hole at the bottom and it starts draining. And if you don't continue to make deposits, it's going to drain out and you're going to end up real frail, real brittle, real empty. But if I can keep adding in every day, do a little bit of something, I can keep that barrel pretty full. And that will keep you above that disability threshold. So I would say to answer the question, I'm very long-winded, but to answer the question is, yes, we're going to lose some muscle mass and we're going to lose some bone density, but how much is up to you and how catastrophic is up to you. And that's going to have a huge impact on your later years in life of what kind of quality they are.
Yes. Well, one of the things I like to say is that I think that consistency is more important than intensity. And I would think that probably a lot of people who are not active would be surprised at the amount of movement that could make a difference if you do it every day. Would you find that to be true in your experience?
We've got some really good studies in our field that have shown like almost bare minimal effort. And when I tell you that, you'll be like, that little can have a huge impact. There was a study done in a community living, so not assisted living, but community living environment where about 120 people were living, and they put a leg press machine in the lobby. And they just asked every attendee that lived there at any point, whenever they saw the machine open, to get on it and to do a set of 8 and then rest 30 seconds, another set of 8, rest 30 seconds, and another set of 8, and then go on about their day. And they asked them to do that twice a week. They had tested everybody beforehand in 3 different movement patterns, how quickly they could sit down and stand up for 5 repetitions. And most people were around like 10, 12 seconds, something like that. How many reps they could get in 30 seconds, sit down, stand up, which is probably the world's greatest collection of data. Data point is the 30-second sit to stand assessment. It's probably the world's greatest assessment. And then the other one was gait speed, how fast they could walk from one cone to another. And it was about 30 meters that they had them walk. And after 8 weeks of any time you went by the machine doing 3 sets of 8, that was it. It took collectively throughout the week, it took about 6 minutes of their time to do that every other day as they went through their week. All those numbers drastically increased. And they were targeting the exact muscle movement pattern, leg press, and the dynamicness of it. They were asking them every week to try to push themselves and go a little harder. So 6 minutes of work had these pretty catastrophic events in a positive manner where everybody's sit to stand, instead of being 12 seconds, went down to like 9 seconds. And then their 30-second reps went from 9 to about 13 reps. And then their gait speed increased. They all got faster and started taking longer steps. And that was with 6 minutes of work every week. So when you see CDC or some of the other organizations, WHO, some of the other organizations out there that say, oh, if you're over the age of 35, you should get, 225 minutes of activity every week, which comes down to about 32 minutes a day. Like, well, that'd be great. But could you do 6 minutes every other day? 6 minutes every other day would still have a great effect.
Right.
So the 32 minutes every day kind of thing would be awesome. And maybe that's weights one day and you go out for a walk the next day and you do some gardening or go golfing the next. And they just want you to be active. It doesn't have to be 32 minutes of lifting weights, but ideally twice a week, moving some load around would have a huge impact on your quality of life and your performance, but it can be even less than that to start off. We want to meet people where they're at and then gradually kind of build them up to the point where they can be very consistent. You nailed that. Consistency is key. And then once you get to a decent level of strength, you want to do everything you can to maintain that. You never want to lose that strength. And that becomes a key component for us is I want my clients to be able to pull weight off the floor and be able to row their body weight and want to be able to carry their body weight. And those can be pretty high standards, but once they have it, I don't have to keep pursuing more and more and more. I just want them to hold those strength standards as they continue through life, and it'll serve them very well. So you can have pretty minimal time investment, has a great return for your investment, and you can make that schedule consistent and keep doing it. And it'll pay off for you in the long run. Very, very much so.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's crazy how quick you lose it, right?
Sarcopenia. Yeah, there have been simulations of like a leg break or something along those lines, and you'll see upwards of 5% of muscle volume loss within 5 to 7 days. You'll see 6% of power production lost in 7 to 10 days. And then overall, like actual visual evidence, looking at someone and seeing that their body looks more frail in 2 weeks. And the performance. And on the other side of this, unfortunately, we saw this during COVID, March of 2020. One facility was very aware of this and said, our facility was just told, state of California, everybody has to shut it down for 2 weeks. Everybody go inside. Don't come to the weight room. Don't go anywhere. You can't do anything for 2 weeks. 2 weeks to stop the spread was the whole bit.
Yeah.
This location got to return back to the weight room after 2 weeks, and all their strength coaches, they had 2 CSCS strength coaches that were there working with them. They reassessed them and they found those numbers, that 5% strength loss, 6% power loss, and the visual inspection of frailty. They saw all that. So they said, all right, let's see how long it takes us to build all that back. And what was lost in 2 weeks took 6 months to gain back. So that's why we say, like, once you get it, do everything you can to keep it and just stay consistent and keep going. Like, that's you now. This is your new life pattern now. It's not like, oh, I'm in shape, I can back off or I can stop. You got to keep doing it, because something as little as 2 weeks, which could be a trip to Italy or, at home stay vacation, and you stop lifting, negative returns are going to come real quick, and it's going to take you a long time to get it back.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was, I didn't realize that it was 6 months and 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah. There have been multiple studies. They had another group of younger individuals. They were like in their 40s, and they simulated a hip or a leg fracture. So all these folks could do was walk to the bathroom and back, the kitchen and back. That was it. They made them use crutches. So they really couldn't do much. And the numbers they saw equal to that we just heard, but in 10 days. So it was even worse, because at least the other folks were still able to walk around their apartment and do something. They still went to dinner. They still went to breakfast. Like, they still went and walked around at least. But these other folks, their simulated bed rest, it happened even quicker. So you think about 67 years old, 80 years old, anywhere in this older population, they have a car accident or they take a fall, and now you're in the hospital for 8 or 10 days, and then you get to go home, and you see it over and over again. I feel so weak. My body shakes when I try to get up. Like, that's how quickly it's lost. And the older we get, the harder it is to gain it back. So that's why we want to arm people with as much physical muscle mass as possible, the younger, and help them maintain that as long as they can.
Yeah. Well, I'm experiencing some of that myself. I'm 64, and up until, like a month ago, I was doing my, exercises in the morning. I was doing 60 push-ups and 35 dips and some leg lifts and stretches. And then I had this inflammation kind of come over me, and my right leg's been bothering me. And I kind of quit doing that for just a couple of weeks. And right now I'm in the middle of, I got a book out. It's called Age Out Loud. And we've started a Facebook group, the Age Out Loud community. And we're in the midst of a 30-day challenge. And so I'm doing 2,200 push-ups in the month of July, which is like 75 a day. So I'm on day 10 of doing that. And, it's taken me 3 sets to knock my 75 push-ups out. And I'm like, well, 10 days, I've been at it 10 days. I should be getting a little stronger. And, I'm still in that, disruption always follows intention mode where, at first you're not getting stronger, you're getting weaker, or you're feeling weaker as you're going through that valley of getting to the point where it's actually starting to work.
For
And
sure.
I'm sure in your business, a big part of what you do has to be encouraging people through that phase, because that's where a lot of people quit, right? They decide they're going to do something and they jump into it and they're excited, and then the pain and the soreness and the hardness of it hits them, and a lot of people quit. A lot of people don't push through that resistance to get to the point where they see some results. So how do you encourage people? How do you help people get through that difficult portion to get to where they start to see some results?
There's a couple different strategies you can use, but when we first meet people, they come in for their movement observation, their initial consultation with us. They share with us some kind of goal, purpose, reason that they're here, and we'll continue to remind them of that. Some, they're having a reunion. Others, they're afraid if they fall down, they'll get hurt and they won't be able to get back up. Others are going to go on a trip, or they want to pick up their grandkids because they can't right now, or whatever it might be. And we'll continue to remind them of that anytime some of those negative thoughts start coming in. I'm too sore, I don't want to come today. So we kind of set a level of expectation. And though I am younger than most of my clients, I still get a lot of comments of, they're like, you kind of remind me of my dad. Like, I don't want to disappoint you. I hear that all the time from people, because we have a level of expectation that we expect them to show up. We expect them to work hard, and we are going to put in, our coaches, we're going to put in just as much effort as they are to help make them successful. And the nice part about working with older folks is they have had life experiences, good and bad, and they've had experiences that they have either been ripped off, or they've had some negative experience where when they do feel like someone has good intentions for them, they can recognize it and they go, this is a good thing. This is a good person. We have pure intentions. I want to keep coming to this. I want to be a part of it. The self-drive side of working with people over 50 is completely different than with people in their 20s. And so we don't have to do a whole lot of like, hey, get out of bed. We need you to get, like, people are pretty motivated to get in here and to get strong because they've probably had something happen. They fell, they couldn't get up, they were embarrassed. They didn't get hurt, they just couldn't get off the ground. They tried to get in and out of their kids' pickup truck and they couldn't step up into the car to get there. They got down to a low toilet and couldn't get off of it. I mean, we hear all these kinds of stories, and it's disheartening in the moment for them. But when they are then faced with doing it again after 4 weeks or 6 weeks of training with us, and they can successfully do it, they're like, wow, this is paying off. And now they caught the fire. Now they're like, heck yeah, let's go. And so they get even more motivated. They've got a period, though, we call it the grace period, where, like you talked about, muscles are going to be sore, body's going to ache. A lot of folks we have are coming in with arthritis, and it's an arthritic flare-up period. So it's actually called the arthritic grace period. And it goes anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks. Some people start to adapt in 2 weeks. Others, it takes 3 months, 12 weeks for them to adapt to the idea that they are going to do 3 workouts a week for 40 minutes in here, and their body's fighting it. And if they just keep coming, if they walk through the fire, if they just keep coming, their body will go, you know what? I guess this is what we're doing now. We better adapt. We're going to build some muscle. We're going to build some more bone density because he keeps showing up and things aren't going to change. He's not stopping. So we're going to have to adapt because this is what he's putting us through. And the body adapts, they get stronger, and then they've overcome it. Where if you start to get sore, the body's like, oh, there's this new stimulus. We're going to change. We're going to build more muscle mass. He quit. And so it goes back to the beginning. And then a couple of months later, you're like, I'm going to try it again. And the same process starts. I'm sore, this aches, this hurts. It hurts my hands, my flare-ups, my back is achy. I'm going to stop. And then you go back to start again. And every time you're going to have to start that process over. So if you can keep your chin down, walk through that fire, just keep going. And that's where the coaches come in. When we have you doing a deadlift and you're like, this hurts my back. Okay, let's use a hex bar. Let's use a neutral grip. Let's do a pronated grip. Let's put a vest on you and do sit to stands instead of holding a hex bar. Like, we have all these modifications that we can do to try to work with your arthritis or with the limitation, not around it. Because if you're a deconditioned person and I get the whole rest of your body stronger except for your ailment, I just did you this huge disservice. I just made a bigger gap, a bigger weakness in your body. All the rest of you got stronger, but we have this one weak link, your lower back, your knee, whatever it is. I've got to work with this and bring the whole system up. And if we can do that, 2 to 12 weeks, you get over that hump, people are golden. And our average client, stays with us for about 15 years. Like, we've had clients, I've got 8 clients who have been with me for 24 years now. going into our 24th year, like my original clientele that started with me here in California, still with me to this day. And I've probably had another like 80 that I've had the opportunity to work with over that, 23, 24 year process, which in personal training terms isn't a ton of people. Most clients that, most trainers that build a clientele will get somewhere between 40 and 80 clients, and that'll be a clientele for them, but they have a lot of turnover. So some coaches that say, I've worked with thousands of clients, I don't know if that's a good thing. But if you've worked with 80 for 2 decades, then that says something. You're doing a good job. They're committed to you, they're delivering, and I'm going to keep coming. So if I have the right coach giving me the right steps and the right exercises, and I stay committed and I keep walking forward, those two processes will meet in the middle. You'll overcome these limitations, these injuries, these flare-ups, these arthritic responses, and you'll start to feel pretty good every day. Then you start feeling really strong, and now quality of life starts to peak up. And now you see all these things that you couldn't do before. And now you have a true believer in your process. And that's why they stay so long.
Yeah. That's quite a track record. So I see you got Fit Body Boot Camp on the wall behind you. Yeah. And I belong to Fit Body Boot Camp. And the thing that's really stands out about the program is how encouraging the coaches are, and how much, you feel like, you belong and you're there, and, they do help, if you've got a particular, set that you have trouble with for whatever reason, like my right hip is, my area that doesn't behave sometimes. And so, but, modifications, and okay, we'll do it this way. And, it's been a great experience. So,
I'm glad to hear that.
You do in person and you also do online. Is that true?
I do. Okay. And I get to work with all those coaches, which is the cool part. Like my job with FitBody, I'm the director of education. I do their programming and I coach all the coaches. So that's the really cool part, is like the coaches that you get to work with every day, learn our education, all of our materials. I give them webinars every month. We do calls. We have 2 calls today. We have a nutrition call. We have a boot camp call. Next week, I have the Fit Body Forever call. So we do calls every month with all the coaches and invite them all on, and we teach them. I just built a course on joint replacements. If a client's going through a hip replacement, a knee replacement, a shoulder replacement, what to do before, what to do during, how to work with the PTs, what to do after, what's the long-term care for them in FitBody, in our system, right? So I get to build all those things and pour into those coaches, and then they get to work on the floor with you. So that makes me really happy that you're like, yeah, the coaches are great. They're so encouraging. That makes me happy. So love hearing
awesome.
that. Yeah. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
The question about is the in-person and online. The online. And I'm asking that from the point of view that I told you I teach the Aging in Place certification course. Mm-hmm. And we currently do that almost exclusively on Zoom. We used to do it in person all the time, and occasionally I'll do an in-person class. But in person, I think that it's a better educational experience, right? It's easier to engage, but with online, you can reach a much wider audience. I mean, so how does your approach in your online program differ from your in-person? Obviously, you're in person, you're standing right there while they're doing the exercise, and you can say, okay, well, do it this way, do it that way. How does that work online?
Our online program is a pretty good investment for folks. We do require that they get some pretty good gear. We have adjustable kettlebells. These guys here from Power Block, or any adjustable kettlebell rep, any company that makes them. We ask them to get those, so they have multiple varieties of weights. Adjustable dumbbells, like where are they? Those guys right there. Adjustable dumbbells, so they can move. They've got 8 different sets of dumbbells in that one. We ask them to get something they can do step-ups on. We ask them to get a bench and then a set of bands, like our bands we have hanging up here, up on the rack there. Yeah, we ask them to get those. Maybe some Angle 90 handles to make things more comfortable. So they're going to invest, a good amount of money over a couple of months to get some good gear so they can train the way that we train in here. Some programs are like, all you need are bands and log on and we'll make do. And that's fine for a little while, but at some point we need load. For the progressive overload principle to take effect, I have to have progressive overload. So you can't just go, I'll just do more repetitions. You just end up getting injuries from overuse, because your body does adapt and you go, I'm pretty strong. I can move these 10-pound dumbbells. I can do 20, 30, 40, 50 reps. Like, it's going to take me forever to get a big challenge, or I'm going to end up getting injured from doing so many reps. I need to get 15s. A couple of months later, I got to get 20s. Like, we have clients that are in their 70s, early 80s that are doing 60 and 70 pound kettlebell deadlifts in their home with their own gear. They've got these big kettlebells, right, sitting in their closet, and they drag them out and they deadlift them every day. And it's a progression. So you don't have to buy it all at once, but they're in. And we get folks from all over. Example, our group we had right before this, I have 2 clients in Idaho, one here in Sacramento, one in Southern Sacramento, down south from there, one in Alabama, 2 in New Orleans, one in Houston, one in Washington, and another one in Texas. So that was our whole group this morning that we just trained. We have folks all over, but they all log in, they all pop up, they're up on screen. I can see everybody. And then I had 2 clients in here. And so they're set up, they're kind of the demos, and everybody can look and see, look what Brian's doing. Wife Keegan's in here. Look what they're doing. We make modifications for each person as needed, but we've got a general template, a workout for the day that we're going to try to do. And if you've got a back or a knee or issue, I'll go around and go, okay, Chris, with your back, let's go sit the stands. Everybody else, you're doing goblet squats, and 3, 2, 1, let's go. And then off we run. And so it works really well. We're able to still do assessments virtually with folks, learn their health history. We'll email and get all their info, go through it all, and they get to train from the comfort of their home. But they also have to buy some gear to make sure that they can challenge themselves. And it works really well for everybody.
So how many times a week do you do those? I mean, is it
most of our clients 2 to 3 days a week? So we have clients that do like Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. And then I've got, say, about 8 clients that do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We do 2 big strength focused workouts a week. So it's either the Monday, Tuesday group or the Wednesday, Thursday group. Those are your 2 workouts. And then the Friday workout, we call Fun Friday workouts, where they are going to do a little bit of lifting and a more cardiovascular template. So it's more high intensity resistance training than it is like do a set, rest. It's here's 8 things and you got 20 minutes, go. And they got to just keep doing this laundry list of stuff as they work their way through. It's quite exhausting.
Sounds like a Metcon.
Yes, it's a Metcon. That's exactly right. Yeah. Metabolic conditioning format that just really challenges, and people can self-pace and everyone has their own gear. So I'm not slowing you down and I'm this and that, but I can see you and you're in better shape than me. And so I'm trying to keep up, and you can see me and you're like, you don't want to get caught. So you're trying, and we push each other without having the negative returns of a competition, injuries, that kind of thing. So it's really good. It's a fun way to train. Our clients like it. Our local clients love it because they like being able to connect and see these folks online and have more people in the group rather than just 2 or 3 that we have in house. And we can affect more people this way. So like you said, it's a good reach where we can definitely go out, as you heard, across the country. But we've worked with people in Ireland and Iceland and Russia and England and in Australia, Canada, Mexico. We've got coaches all over and clients that we've worked with all over the world. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. That's very exciting. Yeah. So did you set out to work with older adults from the beginning, or did somewhere along the line you decided or something happened that motivated you to focus on that?
I was a hammer thrower at CSU Sacramento, and I was sponsored by Reebok after my career and was pursuing the Olympic Games. And I wanted to work with athletes and coach throwers and maybe represent USA as an athlete, but then eventually as a coach. And in all my efforts to do that, I was a personal trainer on the side to just make some extra income. And all the athletes that I got to the chance to work with, youth or 20, 30-year-olds, they did okay, but they didn't improve a ton. And then I hurt my back. And when I hurt my back, the process I went through to rehabilitate, I wrote about it and I got it published in our local magazine here in Sacramento. And locals read and they said, I've had a back injury like that, and I could get some help. And he's local. So they reached out to me and I got a few more personal training clients, and those individuals really started to do well. And so for a lot of my situations of family training, I had the athlete youth that was okay, the parents that were doing really well, and then I'd get the grandparents and they were crushing it. And at one point I was like, why am I trying to make myself this youth sport coach, which I'm just not that great at? Where with these other folks, I connect with them more. They're having great success. I feel this calling to go in that direction. It just wasn't this, and probably still isn't to this day, a calling in our industry to want to work with aging populations. It seemed as a lesser of a skill set. Like because you work with older people, you're lesser of a coach, that you're less educated or that you're doing an easier job. And It's exactly the opposite. If I give you someone who's in their late teens, early 20s, in great health with no limitations, and they can do anything you ask, that to me sounds pretty easy. But when I get a 60-year-old with a hip replacement and they're a cancer survivor and they can't put their left arm over their head because it's frozen, what are you going to do? And a new coach is going to go, I have no idea. I don't know what to do. I'm going to hurt that guy. I don't know what the parameters for a hip replacement are. I don't know how to get his shoulder unfrozen. I have no idea. Well, with the youth, it's like, what do you want to do with him? Anything I want. He's a blank slate. This will be easy. So really, the better coaches should be working with the older populations. And I just embraced that at an early age. I said, this is not for me. Working with the older pops is. And so I had a lot of other trainers I worked with, and they would get clients in their 60s or 70s and go, oh, Rob likes working with old people. I'll send them over to him. Well, I ended up building 80, 90, 100 clients that I got to work with. And I had a great clientele. We had a lot of seasonal clients they'd be here in the summers and then leave in winter times and whatnot. So I had about 100, 120 people on a rotation that I would see. I would say at any given time, about 80 on my regular schedule. And that didn't mean I was working 80 hours a week. I would train 2 to 4 people every hour. So I could have a small group of folks and I would have 4 and then the next 4 and the next 4. Well, I could have 4, 8, 12 people in those 3 hours. And so that's how I could see 80 people a week and not have to work more than maybe 30, 35 hours. But it was hard work, and you got to know each person and how to make modifications and remember all their health history and all their ailments and what to do with them and what weights they're going to lift and what movements they can do and they can't and how are they progressing. And I was good at it. And there's all of these things in this world that you can be. I could be a really well-rounded person and I could know cars and I could know mechanics and I could whittle wood and I could do all that. I can't do any other thing. This is my one area that I have found where I'm like, I can be exceptional at doing this and I'm okay with it. I really have no other skills other than this. I try to be a good husband and a good dad. And I'm a spiritual leader and I try to do all those things that I can. But outside of that, this is my area and I embrace it. I love it. And I get the chance to pour into other coaches and into the clients. They don't just get training with me, they get education with me. And if you know why you're doing something, you are much more likely to continue to stay committed to that and to continue to practice it rather than me just saying, do this because I'll believe you for a while, but I'd rather know why. And now you've taught the man to fish rather than giving him one, right? Now I can be self-sufficient and do this on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that
sometimes
what you
talking, man, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. What you brought up about the perception of in your industry that, if you're a serious coach, you're going to work with, the young future Olympians because, that's where it illustrates that. And that's why I wrote the book, Age Out Loud, because there's this cultural narrative that you reach a certain point and then it's all downhill from there and that your best days are behind you. And so many people buy into that. And to me, the whole concept of retirement simply feeds that at the peak of your ability, whatever your lane is, whatever your knowledge base is, at the peak of your ability and your expertise and your knowledge, you just hang it up and go sit on the porch for the rest of your life. And I think that's where a lot of people go downhill really fast. I mean, the stories of people that I've read and heard and seen and known, they retire and they just don't live very long because they don't have any purpose. They don't have anything that keeps them, that gets them up in the morning, that gets them motivated. One of the, there's an interview in my book. There's a man by the name of Dale Sanders. He's currently hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, cool.
And he is on track to set the record, Guinness Book of World Records. He's got a tracker and they're very carefully monitoring every single step as the oldest person to ever do so. And he's 91 and he's in Maine. So he's, within a couple of weeks of finishing. And I had the privilege to meet him on McAfee Knob, which is right near my house. And it's the most photographed spot on the AT. And I've got an interview with him and I hiked with him for 4 or 5 miles. And he kept saying, we're going downhill. We can go a little faster. And the interesting thing is that he had the record at 82 and this other guy came along at 84 and took it away from him. And now he's getting it back. And he did the same thing with paddling the Mississippi source to sea. He had the record at 80 and then somebody took it and he went back at 87 and not only got the record back, but set a speed record for paddling the Mississippi from source to sea. So, and he's dancing around full of life and it's just such an inspiration when you meet people like that that just totally blow up the narrative that, at 90 years old, you're going to, if you're walking at all, you're going to be, in pretty bad shape. And, it's just all over the place. Dick Van Dyke just turned 100 years old, and I read his book, and, about turn 100. And so much of it is mindset, right? I mean, the workout's important. The nutrition's important, the sleep's important. All those things are important. But if we don't have the mindset that we have the power to shape our life and our experience of our later years of life, we're not going to bother. If you don't believe that lifting the weights is going to help you, you're sure not going to put yourself through it, right? If
Yeah,
you don't believe that eating healthy is going to help you, you're going to eat the stuff that tastes good. So, I think that mindset is the key to the whole equation.
I completely agree with you. I know that I watched, I don't remember if it was like Jimmy Kimmel or one of the shows, maybe a year or two ago, and Dick Van Dyke was on there and he was dancing. And they said, "What do you do?" And he goes, "Oh, I do leg press every other day, this and that." And as I looked back into that, he read that research article from like 1987 or something like that is when they did that leg press study I told you about. And he was like, "Wow, I guess I could just start leg pressing." He still does it today. Still
Yeah.
goes to leg press 3 days a week and keeps his legs strong. And there's plenty of stats to support that. The more muscle mass you have on your legs, period, the longer you live. And like you said, this is a mindset. It's a mindset, especially with retirement. This is so sad what I'm about to tell you. Do you know the average age individual that enters that disability threshold that I told you about? They need a cane, a walker, et cetera, et cetera. They're no longer independent. What age do most people enter that?
I do not know, but if I were to guess, I would say 72.
69 years old.
Okay.
What's the average age an American retires at?
67.
66. Yeah, you're pretty right on. So you got how many years until you're entering this disability? So if you retire at 66 and the average 69-year-old enters this, you got 4 years, 3 to 4 years to go do cruises and go do this. But if you start resistance training and you build that strength, you'll just keep pushing that back. And next thing you know, you're on the Appalachian Trail setting speed records, right? Like it can happen at any time. USA Today, the New Yorker, Washington Post, a whole bunch. 2023 December published an article showcasing 18 to 50-year-olds that do resistance training, see all these great results. 50 to 85-year-olds do resistance training, see all these great results. The older adult, 85 plus, do all this resistance training, they see all these great results. They're like, no matter where you are in this life, you can start this and see great results.
Right.
Now, if you started earlier, you'll be at a higher plateau, right? You'll have a higher angle to come down, but it's
Sure.
never too late to start getting stronger. So you're right. It's mindset. You got to know what to do and how to do it and how to do it safely. And if you start doing that regularly, the sky's the limits. I mean, people can really age well, and you don't have to just accept. And I've heard it my whole life. I have one parent that completely embodies this. Well, I'm just old. That's the way that it is. And I'm like, I got 80 people I work with that completely disagree with you. I've got thousands of pages of research that I get to read that completely disagree with you. It doesn't have to be this way. You just got to want to do it.
Right. Yeah. And so sometimes people just use "I'm just old" as an excuse because,
For sure.
they don't want to put in the effort.
They don't want to put in the effort. Maybe they don't have the means, but I mean, you can body weight train. Like you were saying, you do push-ups and squats and dips and all that. You can get in great shape just using your body weight.
Yeah.
It's hard to move your body weight. Push-ups aren't easy. Chin-ups are damn near impossible. Like they're really hard. So most people were like, start with the weights because I can just grab 5 pounds versus I'm 250. Like I'm a big body to move around. I'm not just going to jump into push-ups, but I could grab 20-pound dumbbells and lay down. It's only 40 pounds. I can bench press that and build up to moving my body weight. So the weights won't actually, and that's the other thing. Oh, I don't want to get hurt or I don't want to get bulky. Chris, I've been trying my whole life to get too bulky. I lift weights 4 days a week. I've been trying my whole life to get too bulky. I still haven't achieved it yet. So 70-year-old moms out there, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. Okay, unless you're shooting up HGH and Diana Ball and all these other, it's not going to happen. Just lift and get strong. You're going to be okay. Right? You're not going to get bulky, and you're not going to get hurt if you progress things properly. Heavy weights don't hurt people. You just got it. Kettlebells don't hurt people. Like anything that's done poorly, anything or in excess will hurt you. You can drink too much water, it'll hurt you. If you lift too heavy a weight, you can throw your back out. You just got to do things properly, safely. And if you don't know how, find somebody like me that does this professionally, and we can help you.
Well, which goes back to consistency. If you start out, you start out with a 5-pound or 10-pound or something that's comfortable and easy, and then you progress from there.
Baby
But I
steps.
think a lot of times, especially as guys, we want to impress somebody, and we want to, start with the heavy one
Grab the heaviest thing possible.
and throw something out. And my youngest daughter worked at a trampoline park years ago, and she said that she could pick them out walking through the door, the ones that were going to get hurt,
boy.
right? And she said it was always the dads, and she could also predict exactly what the mom would say right after the dad got hurt. Oh, now you've ruined our whole day. And it,
Told you that was going to happen.
she had 911, she saw him coming in, and it's like, I'll keep an eye on you, and I'm ready to make the call, because we're trying to impress somebody. We're trying to, be cool. We're trying to,
Oh man, one of the worst injuries I've ever seen was broadcast online on Instagram. A gentleman used to be a Division I gymnast, and he could do floor and the rings and all this. And he was about 15 or 20 years retired, but was taking his daughter to one of the trampoline parks, and they've got trampolines on the side walls, and you can do the huge ones like you see on the Olympics, and they're doing multiple flips and all that. And he goes, I used to do all this stuff. And so he hasn't done anything in a long time, and he's kind of rocking the dad bod. You can tell he's not terribly conditioned anymore. And the kids are like, backflip, backflip. And he just does one backflip. And when he lands, all 4 quadriceps on both legs blow out. So his knees are now no longer attached to his quads, and his legs fold up underneath him, and he's in excruciating pain. And the camera goes off, and then the next 18 months of his life, you see progressive surgery videos, posts showing him rebuilding all the way back. Something that catastrophic to, I'm 41, I want to get back in shape, I'm going to go play rec basketball because I used to play in high school, and 2 minutes into the game, you get a rebound and you take one hard quick step and your Achilles ruptures, your ACL tears. Like anything, as you said, you've got to take some baby steps back and slowly build your body back into doing it. Because there's plenty of guys in their 60s that still play rec basketball, but they never really stopped. Or when they did, they started gradually and built up.
Yeah.
They'll just go out and start sprinting, and try to dunk again. Like your body just can't do it. It'll come apart. So ego is our worst enemy, especially us fellas.
Yeah.
Well, I was class of 78. Like I was a champion, and I can do that. No problem. No, we're going to be stretching that guy out of the room here real soon. So we're our own worst enemy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you do any recommendations as far as nutrition, supplements, vitamins?
Yeah.
And any of that in conjunction with your fitness?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a couple. And of course, before I say any of this, just keep in mind, everyone's different. Talk to your doctor or dietitian before you pursue any of this. But first thing I'll suggest is protein intake. And everybody should be getting an appropriate amount of protein. We'll talk about that in a second, on a daily basis. As we get older, the desire for our body to want to digest protein actually decreases. And so it's harder to consume. And that's where supplementation kind of comes in handy as you get older, to maybe utilize a protein shake of some variety. If you're okay with milk and you can do whey, or if you want a whey-free, milk-free product, there's soy and there's oat milk and all kinds of different options you can do. If you look at what your body weighs in kilograms, that would be the low end of the amount of protein you need every day. And then your body in pounds, that's the high end. So easy math, let's say I'm 220 pounds, that's 100 kilos. So I would need 100 grams a day or 220 grams a day. Somewhere in the middle of those two is where you'd want to land. If you weigh 150 pounds, that's about 75 kilos. So anywhere between 75 and 150, you could be, 100, 110 grams of protein a day, you'd be in good shape. So you can figure out your protein, 2 or 3 meals, 4 meals a day. How many grams do you need with each meal? Try to spread that out through the day. Protein is huge for helping maintain muscle mass, bone density, digestion, all that good stuff. On top of that, supplements that you can get in, creatine is probably one of the best ones. It's the most researched supplement on earth. And other than taking way too much of it, the negative return of that is it'll help clean you out, if you know what I mean. Unfortunately, I had an experience with this. In the mornings, I would get dressed not wanting to wake up my kids. So I would get ready in the dark, and I have my protein scooper, 50 grams. And next to it, I have my creatine scooper, 5 grams. I switched the scoopers in the containers, not knowing it. Maybe my kids did this. I think it was my fault. So the next morning I go 50 grams of creatine, 5 grams of protein, shake up my drink, eat it, and proceeded to need to use the restroom every hour on the hour for the next like 2 days. So if you overdose on creatine, that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you. Joking aside, there aren't a lot of negative returns with using creatine. Aging populations, the first thing that it affects is your cognition. Lots of good research for that. It does help you retain a little bit of water. And before anybody panics, we're talking about 1 or 2 pounds. It's not a ton of water, but that water saturates your muscles, your joints, your ligaments, the capsules in your bones, and just makes everything more fluid. It's kind of like oiling up your joints. It just kind of makes you feel better and it helps your body recover. So when you do train, you can actually train a little harder because your body's recovering more efficiently. The greatest concern with creatine is if you have kidney issues, it's hard on your kidneys for sure. And so we don't advise it for anybody that has any kidney issues. If you do have kidney issues, it doesn't mean you can't. You just definitely need to talk to your doctor first. There might be different times of the day with or without medications, etc. Again, out of my scope of practice. So definitely talk to your doctor about it first. But other than kidney issues, there really aren't any other concerns or side effects with creatine. Collagen's another one you can look at. It helps a lot with taking care of your bones, your skin, cognition in there as well. And there's ashwagandha and there's turmeric and there's triphala and there's all kinds of additional, more natural sources that you can take that do a lot in fighting inflammation and helping your stomach settle and helping with any anxiety or depression. I mean, there's a lot of different ones you can take that aren't necessarily prescription medications, but that are FDA regulated and, that are good quality products that you can take. So I would encourage people to look into those because it helps you in your aging process, because it does become a bit more difficult to get in all the things that you need every day as appetites can suppress or as the body can start to age. It just doesn't work as efficiently. So if you can help supplement that, it'll go a long way. That helps with sleep and cognition and alertness and how quick you can move your body and react and recover. And all of these things go into lifting your mood, improving quality of life, keeping you off the ground from falling, and helping you be at the best of your abilities when you kind of go out to go and do the things that you want to do. So nutrition is big, sleep is big, hydration is big, having good recovery days, having a social circle around you, not being alone all the time. Social environments and engagements are really big, keeping your mood and your energy levels up, all of that. And having a schedule, having a routine, having a purpose. If you retire, you need to enter into a new routine of life that just can be not work, but it could be something else. Still have a time to get up and a time to go to bed and when to eat and when to go here. And you just start a new life of some type of new routine that keeps you consistent, that gives a lot of purpose to life. And maybe it's built around recreation or it's built around your family or both. That's great. That's what you're supposed to be doing, rather than not knowing, is it 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. when it's dusk outside, because you don't know if it's Tuesday or Thursday. And the days all run together. A lot of people live their life like that, unfortunately. And I have personal experience with that as well right now. And it's sad. It's hard to see people fall to that level. Yeah. But as I've said, with almost all of this, it doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah. Well, Robert, this has been just a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom and your experience. And I think it's great work and very much needed. So for listeners that would like to know more about your programs, maybe they want to sign up for your online training and start getting back in shape, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, come over to trainingtheolderadult.com. And when you, all one word, trainingtheolderadult.com, when you log in, you'll see, are you a trainer or are you a client? And you can click on either one. It'll navigate you to the website. You can see what we offer, all of our online programs. And we have something called the Bunker, as you can see up there. That's our whole online program. And then with all the coaches, all of our TOA stuff helps you get certified and all the support you need. It's basically a giant search engine inside the world of training older pops that helps you with whatever ailment, whoever you're working with. We try to supply you with all of it, so you can check us out there. I have a paywall-free YouTube channel, so feel free to subscribe on there. Just look up my name. You'll find that on there. We got a ton of videos, and I put up a new one, if not one, a couple every week. And social media, Instagram, Facebook, pretty simple. Feel free to follow us there and see all the content we put up. Anything we can do to assist you and help you. I had a great experience getting to train my dad and help him recover in the later years of his life. And if that's something similar that I could help with you or coaches do that with their clients, I'm more than happy to do that. So, Chris, I appreciate the time, giving me the opportunity to share and hopefully influence some lives and help people get better. And thank you again for having me. I'm happy to come back and do this another time whenever you want. You let me know.
Awesome.
I appreciate
And just
that.
just to clarify, that's training the older adult.
trainingtheolderadult.com. Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. So for all of you listening, tune in again for the next Aging in Place is a Team Sport. And if you're ready to get in shape, get in touch with Robert. He'll fix you right up. Have a great day and see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.